Well guys, we are back out exploring in the Tundra again, and we're gonna see what kind of trails we can find. Right now we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. I don't really expect to find anything too, like, crazy out here or challenging or anything like that. There'll definitely be some opportunities to use the four-wheel drive later. What we're coming up on right now is kind of just a gravel service road, but I think we'll end up finding, or at least we should end up finding, some decent trails a little bit later on, some that have some water crossings, maybe a little bit of an opportunity to use the four-wheel drive. I don't know if it'll be enough to need, like, you know, 4 low. It might just be 4 high, but we'll see. We'll see what we find, and either way, regardless, it should be a fun time. Fast forward to way later in the day, and we're at the approach road, or the entrance road, to the trail we were originally looking for. Well, I shouldn't say originally looking for, but the trail that I was planning on coming to at some point today. I didn't really do any filming on the other trail that we were approaching earlier because it was kind of honestly more of just a gravel road. I took a couple of pictures on it, but that was about it. And this one, I know it's paved right now, but it's basically, I've been back here before, and it starts out as pavement, and then turns into gravel, and then eventually turns into a, like a simple trail with some water crossings, little bit of like some rutted out climbs, but nothing too crazy. But we'll go ahead and see what we can find today. It looks like it's maybe a little bit wet out, but it's only damp on the road in the shade. So hopefully it's not too muddy back here because I am only on a all-terrain tire. I'm not on an MT. So if it's like super muddy, I don't know how that's gonna do, but we will figure that out when we get there. And the whole idea is to bring y'all along with me, and we'll see how it goes. We should find the actual trail start in probably about like 10 minutes or so, I would think. I don't know if it's gonna even be all that crowded back here today. I mean, the last time we came back here was probably I want to say it was another Saturday. And the last time we were out here, we didn't go the whole way, we didn't do the full trail because there was a kind of like a, I wouldn't say it was like a traffic jam, but it was already kind of like, it was already starting to get dark anyway, and there were some people turning around in the middle of the trail, and we had already done like, I don't know, about almost half of it, and I was like, I mean, we were kind of right at a good turnaround, so we decided to turn around at that one and head back. But yeah, this time we'll see how far we get. So this is what I would technically consider to be the start of the trail. Now, the first water crossing is probably the deepest one on this entire trail, and none of them are very deep. I would say this one was probably halfway up our 37-inch tires. And then after you get through the creek, you'll start going up the hill, and there'll be a couple of rocks on the exit of the creek, but nothing too crazy. Now, you'll see a couple of ruts up here, and they don't really look all that big on camera, but they look a lot bigger in person. And I think that's one of the most reoccurring themes that you're going to see with this trail, is that there's a lot of things that look absolutely minuscule on camera, but in person, they're a lot larger than they actually look. Towards the end of this hill, there was a tight spot that we had to squeeze around, and then we made our way to the second creek crossing. Now, the ruts on the other side of the second creek crossing are honestly not all that difficult, and they're kind of fun to climb up through, but I will say when you're going into the second creek crossing, there's this sort of off-camber rock that you kind of slide down off of, which can be a little bit unnerving if you're not really used to the feeling, but after you do it a couple of times, it'll be fine. Continuing on from that creek, this is where the trail really starts to climb, and again, it doesn't really look like it's going up all that much on the camera, but this next spot, you'll see what I mean. Well, guys, we are out here at the top of the trail right now. All we got to do is really turn around and head back down. It really didn't take all that long to get out here, and I know that some of you all that are watching are probably like, oh my god, those obstacles were like extremely simple. And honestly, they were, but they were really fun, and it was really cool to get this thing out and not only get it out and try some, you know, try some new trails and try some new spots with it, but some of the like more rutted out sections were pretty fun. There was like a little bit of a rock slab. I wouldn't even call it like much of like driving over rocks at all. It was just kind of a little slab, but like it did make for an interesting time when my back end literally like slid down off of it, and I was like, all right, well, that's a thing. But at the end of the day, I mean, this thing honestly, like for what it is, it's hilarious bringing a truck this big out to trails like this, but it's always a blast, and now we get to go back down. So that's what we're gonna go ahead and do, and I think honestly, like, going down is probably not gonna be all that bad. I mean, there are a couple of spots where I'm gonna like try to focus on picking my lines so I don't end up like too close to one wall or the other wall. But going down shouldn't be too bad, but we're gonna go ahead and turn the truck around and head back down. So we're gonna go ahead and hop back in and head back down the mountain. It's more just like, it's honestly just a really fun little trail if you don't have a ton of time and you wanna get out, have some fun, check out a ton
of time? You have to make a little bit of time for this, man.
I mean, but no more than like, if you don't have like all day.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
If you don't have all day, this is like a nice hybrid trail.
It's kind of an in-between, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right.
It's honestly a really nice like beginning trail.
So let's see, I think
this tree at?
I'm gonna hang left the whole way down this thing.
Solid, okay. Sounds like a plan.
Pretty sure. That's what seems
Logical.
like a good idea to me.
Yeah. I think that seems like a good idea as well.
Yeah,
Nice job.
I think staying left and just enough to where we don't like, I'm not really worried about sliding into the left side wall, but like this trail is weird because it goes between dirt and mud and clay and then gravel and then back to dirt and mud and clay and then gravel again, and it's kind of just it's like it can't really make up its mind. And there are some areas that you can tell have been rutted out by whether it's people, you know, just sitting there and bogging in the mud, or by like just weather kind of eroding the trail away. You're not really sure what it's from, but it's like there are a lot of different, I don't know, just a lot of different like surfaces across the one trail. Like some trails are just all dirt or just all clay. This is like, it's almost like they tried to keep it graveled all the way up to the top, and then it was just kind of like, nah, that's not gonna happen, you know? Like areas like this is like a, like I've seen neighborhood roads with worse gravel than this, you know what I mean? But, you know, around the next corner, it's gonna go back to being like a you know, four-wheel drive trail. But at no point did I ever think I was gonna have to put it in 4 low, you know what I mean? Like it was all, I did all of it in 4 high, really no problem. Oh, there's the tree.
There's the tree.
At this point, we came across a tree that we had encountered on the way up, and really what we had to do with this thing was we had to just kind of like shift it around and move it back and forth until it was hanging just high enough to where we could sneak the truck underneath it. And this is one of those situations where having, at the very least, like a handsaw would have been a really, really, really big advantage, because really at the end of the day, it wasn't that big of a tree, it wasn't that heavy of a tree, but if you had just a little, even like a little fold-out handsaw, we would have been able to just like cut it off and then move it to the side and carry on. But since we didn't have one of those, it kind of made it a little bit more interesting, to where we had to kind of, you know, like I said, shift it around, push it up a little bit, and then, you know, squeeze the truck right underneath it. But it's kind of just one of those things, and in my head I was like, you know, some basic tools would be really, really good to have. And I mean, I know you're technically supposed to have them, but you also don't necessarily expect a tree to be across the trail. But then again, when you think about it, you really should be expecting a tree to be across the trail, especially if you've been dealing with weather lately, which this particular area has been dealing with for the past couple of months, on and off with some heavy rain. But as far as final thoughts go, it definitely was a really fun experience. It was a really fun trail, And while it wasn't extremely difficult, it really wasn't all that difficult at all, especially with like a truck this big with tires this big. It was just kind of a fun little trail to get out and like hang out and find some cool new areas on the weekend. So really had a blast making this video, and if you guys enjoyed watching it, definitely let me know your thoughts and opinions on it in the comments below. I would like to know any and all feedback that you guys have, or maybe if you think that I should take it to some other places. Now, there's also going to be some build episodes on the Tundra coming hopefully soon. Gotta work out some plans on that, but as far as that goes, we definitely have some really fun stuff in store. So thank you all so much for watching once again, and I will see y'all in the next one. Talk to y'all later.